Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're back out at one of our flip properties. I don't know if you remember this one, but this was the poop house. If you saw the previous video, this was a hoarder house. It was nasty. There was stuff to the ceiling in some of the rooms, literal animal feces spread throughout the entire property. In today's video, we're gonna be walking through the property. You're gonna see basically the reveal, how everything turned out. We'll talk about some of the changes that we made functionally to the layout. We'll get into all of that. We're gonna see if we were able to keep to our original budget or if not. So before we head inside, I do want to just talk about some of the couple things that we did on the exterior. Obviously, the exterior paint looks phenomenal. The old paint was old, it was tired. And then there was a lot of very mature shrubs in front here that basically grew up in almost like over the windows. So we had to do a lot of shrub removal in front just so that you could actually see the house and give it the curb appeal that this house actually has. And then in a minute, we'll also be looking in the backyard, but the briars were literally, you couldn't even step out onto the deck because there was so many briars on the backside of the property and down into the backyard. I mean, literally the whole backyard was engulfed in briars and brush. So we didn't make the landscape fancy by any means, but there was just a lot of cleanup that had to be done, and that can be costly in itself. So that was a little bit of an expensive item. And then in addition to that, we originally were hoping on being able to salvage all the windows. It had vinyl windows already in place. Sometimes they look good from afar, but they're far from good. You know, some of the latches were worn out and broken, and there was a few window panes that were blown out. So we ended up just putting in all new windows here, because again, like I mentioned, this was a full go, top to bottom. We didn't want to leave some crusty old vinyl windows in there. So that was a bit of a change order and kind of went this way with the budget. So anyway, let's go inside, see how it looks. This is my first time in the property since it's all finished and staged. Holy smokes, this place looks awesome. Check this out. Going back to the old video, this room was just full of junk. There was a wall that separated the dining room over there, and as you can see, we opened that up to give this just like a nice free-flowing feel, and my gosh, this turned out amazing. And hats off to our stager. He always just kills it with these colors and these different designs that he puts in these houses for us. One thing I absolutely love is this color of this flooring here. It's an LVP luxury vinyl plank type of flooring. I believe the color is a French oak, and it just goes really good with the white trim and the white walls. Let me know in the comments if you guys like this color flooring. I think it turns out great in here, and it really brightens up the room, but I love it. So let's take a look at this first bathroom as well. If you were with me on the original tour, this hallway bath here was literally covered in dog poop. As you can tell, everything's been redone. It looks phenomenal. New double vanity in here, new tub and shower surround in the back there. One area that I am gonna point out that is an area of improvement that I'm gonna talk to my contractors about is putting up some nicer mirrors. These are pretty cheap, just like basic Home Depot mirrors, as you can see. I think we need to do something with a little bit more of a frame. It doesn't need to be expensive, but it'll give it a lot warmer feel and a lot nicer look. So that's an area of improvement that we need to start adjusting in our SKUs. Okay, let's check out the master, because this was piled high with just junk in here. You couldn't even access the master bath. There was holes in the tub, holes in the shower itself, so it wasn't even accessible. They had plastic like taped up around stuff. It was a disaster, but long story short, we've obviously fixed that issue. We've got a new double vanity here in the master, and it's a little crammed in here, so I'm doing my best to show you. Instead of a tub, we just did a full stand-up shower in here. We thought that would be a nice touch for the master bath itself, and all in all, I think it turned out great. Made this little master bath here shine. So obviously you're probably looking at this place and you're going, holy smokes, like this place looks phenomenal. Like I mentioned, there was a bit of budget overrun. We were penciled at 100. We'll get into what we actually spent here in a minute. Okay, so check this out. This is one of my favorite rooms in the house. I know we kind of touched on this when I first walked in, but this living room is amazing. And I don't know if it's just the staging or if it's a combination of how it turned out and the staging itself, but originally there was a little floor plan adjustment that we made here. There was a wall that separated this dining room from this living room right here. And I can't tell you how much better this whole room flows just getting rid of this wall that was right here. It feels so much better. I'm just very happy with the way it turned out. So one of the biggest areas of transformation on this house was in the kitchen. But before we get into that, I'm gonna take you down into the basement here, tour you the rest of the house. I'm gonna save the best for last. So here, let's check out the basement here. All right, so here we are in the basement, and basically You almost have a secondary living area down here. We have a common area that looks awesome, and then we have a bedroom and a bathroom in the back that we're gonna get into. But I don't know if you remember originally, but again, this was, gosh, I don't even think there was flooring in this area down here. It was a disaster. This ceiling right here was actually caving in. I believe at some point there was a leak, potentially in one of the bathrooms upstairs or something. I don't know, but the previous owner had tore into this sheetrock. We didn't identify any leaks or anything, but anyway, the sheetrock's been fixed. Also, this was a bit funky. So these two doors here, right? This one and this one both go out to the garage. I've never seen this before. It's incredibly funky. Unfortunately, it was a bit of an oversight. We should have eliminated one of these two doors to the garage. It's not the end of the world. I'm not gonna detract any buyers, but it is a little bit of a funky situation being able to access your garage from here and the other side of the stairs as well. So a little funky. Nothing that we need to go back and redo. It turned out phenomenal though. They actually left cars behind at this property, so we had to dispose of cars. There were shelves in here, there was all kinds of stuff. But the garage looks amazing now. We threw down some garage floor paint, which I like to do in most of our properties because it really makes the garages look nice. Not to mention new garage doors, new openers as well. And then here's kind of that funky piece I was telling you about. This right here is the underside of the stairwell, and then you just kind of loop around and you can head back into your house here. So I figure this is where brother and sister can just kind of chase themselves around through the garage and back into the house. So you might have noticed that we've done all new doors and trim throughout the property. Again, this was a full go. I mean, with the amount of dog feces in here, that means there's a lot of pee on the floors, and a lot of times the pets will end up peeing all over the trim, and you can't save it. You just gotta rip it out and start fresh. So we had to replace all the doors and literally every square inch of trim in this entire place. But I mean, the end product just looks phenomenal. All right, let me show you the last bathroom here and then we'll head up and check out the kitchen. So this bathroom was one that we were actually considering saving. It wasn't in terrible shape. It was dated, but again, not in terrible shape. It was actually relatively clean. However, again, it was one of those things that once we got into the project, we were like, are we really gonna redo everything in the house and not update this bathroom? So we chose to, again, make another change order, update the bathroom, put in a double vanity because it's the only bathroom down here. I'm glad we did because it turned out phenomenal. All right, let's head upstairs into the kitchen, as this is my favorite part of the house and where I think one of the biggest transformations took place. And when I say kitchen, I mean this entire kitchen experience. So we didn't have to change too much to the kitchen layout. In fact, we didn't really change anything to the kitchen layout. But if you were with me on the original tour, there was a fridge in here. There was no power running to it for God knows how long. Literally all the food had leaked out of the fridge and was just spilling out onto the floor. Dog feces throughout. It was a disaster. You couldn't even see out this window right here because the briars from the yard had grown up and over the house. Onto this deck here, that was another change order. We had to rebuild that, unfortunately. That was expensive. All in all, the kitchen turned out great. As you can see, all new cabinets, subway tile backsplash, and then a solid surface quartz countertop. And we hung these little pendulum lights here for the bar top, which I think turned out nice. So you got a little bit of bar seating here, and then enough room for a little breakfast nook table as well. Your main dining room is of course off the living room. And then you got your beautiful patio out here, this new deck that we just put in. Let's go check this out. So last time I was here, I couldn't even step out on to this deck. Again, there was so much brush. It was insane. I couldn't believe how much it literally had crawled up onto the second story and had taken over this deck. So again, we had to redo this whole deck. Once we took all the brush off, we realized that oh man, the integrity of the deck wasn't really there. So we had to tear it out and start fresh. When all those briars were here, I couldn't really tell what kind of view we had because literally they were, they covered the entire skyline. So now that I'm here, I'm going, oh wow, this is incredible. Not only do we have this brand new deck, we have pretty amazing views, like a 90-degree view plane here, which, I mean, it's a little cloudy today. I don't know, you might even have mountain views out to the east here on a clear day. But long story short, this place looks amazing. And as far as the backyard goes, let me just pan you down here. This was, again, I know I keep saying the word briars and brush, but I can't, there was so much of it back here. All of it's been cleared out. It's got a huge backyard, side yard. It looks great. All right, so here are the final numbers on this deal. So we paid $350,000 for this property. There's been a little bit of a plot twist here. We were planning on putting no more in than $100,000, which would bring us to $450, and then obviously sell at 5.25. After, fees and commissions, a bit of a thin deal, but either way, we weren't able to see inside before we bought it. We just had to pull the trigger and go. So during the construction process, a house directly across the street actually popped up for sale, smaller than our property. We're 3,000 square feet. They were just over 2,000 square feet. So went up for sale at $550,000, went pending and sold in just a few days. So again, they're smaller, they weren't freshly renovated. So with that new comp that came on the market, we said, you know what, let's list this thing a lot higher. So we ended up actually coming to market at $625,000, $100,000 over what we were anticipating. And right now we're receiving offers. We're not getting full price, but we're getting ready to accept an offer at $600,000. So now, the caveat though, once we saw that comp go live, we realized, hey, we're gonna be able to sell this thing for a lot more than we were actually anticipating. So let's not be too cheap on the finishes. Let's do the windows. Let's make sure we do the back deck. Let's do that downstairs bathroom. Our construction renovation budget went from $100,000 to $150,000. Now, where we did have some budget override, we also had a little bit of insider information knowing that we were gonna be able to sell it for much more than we anticipated for. So the final numbers are this. We bought this place for $350,000. We ended up putting $150,000 into the repairs and renovations and doing a top to bottom. So that puts us all into this property at $500,000. And like I mentioned, we're getting ready to accept an offer at $600,000. So that'll put us at a gross profit of right around $100,000. It's a good deal for us. We're gonna take it, move on to the next one. Make sure you subscribe so you can catch these on the front end with me when I'm just buying the property, and so you can really see the transformation throughout the entire process. We'll see you on the next one. All right, see ya.